Ready? Good evening. Today, as you are aware, the two additional stations established by GECOM begun to work. So we have now a total of 12 stations working, and immediately we saw an increase, most naturally, of the number of boxes that were completed. Today, uh, some 77 boxes would have been completed by the end of today's work. And we still feel that more could have been done because, again, the containers were closed at 5:30, and that continues to be an unacceptable time for the closure of these containers. If we want to complete the work within the time, we must work towards an extension of time, or certainly closing the container at a minimum at about 6:30 thereabouts, if not at 7. So that continues to be a problem. Um, Significantly, as 720 total boxes now have been completed, um, they continue to match the SOPs of the People's Progressive Party, or the SOPs that we have made public. And I keep repeating, they matching them to 99% accuracy rate. And so far, as of yesterday, um, as of yesterday, 52 boxes that Mingo attempted to defraud the results in relation to, 52 boxes have been uncovered as of yesterday. I understand 2 or 3 more will be dealt with, or would have been dealt with today. Out of those 52 boxes, 2,827 votes were unlawfully allocated to APNU. I want to repeat that. 2,827 votes were wrongly given to APNU on Mingo spreadsheet, and the PPP results at the same time, the PPP ballots at the same time were reduced by 718. So not only did Mingo unlawfully and fraudulently allocate votes to APNU that APNU did not get at the elections, but at the same time, those numbers that Mingo used, they aggregated to also reduce the number of votes that the PPP received, or should have received. Um, and so the fraud of Mingo continues to be made public and continues to be unraveled as the process continues. Another significant issue is the continuous objections that are being made by APNU AFC agents in the process, and it is as if there is a competition to outmatch each other with these allegations and objections. It is as if there is a competition to see who will raise or who will manufacture a more bizarre objection, because as the process unfolds, the objections are becoming more and more outrageous. In Region 1, for example, as you know, that is a completed region, a report they have prepared identifies as a major issue what they claim the unusually high rate of what you call oaths of identity. And when you look at what they are claiming, it's some 10 or 15 oaths of identities that were used by the voter. As you know, one can vote with an ID card, and an equally acceptable method of identification is the oath of identity. That is a legal instrument provided for as a qualification in terms of identification for a voter. If you look at section 69 and 70 of the Representation of the People Act, it provides expressly that in addition to an identity paper, and that's what ID card is called in the law, in addition to that, one can use an oath of identity to vote as well. And there is even a specimen of what the oath of identity looks like in the appendix of the act. In fact, that form, the oath of identity, is included in the materials that are given to the presiding officer on election day, specifically so that the presiding officer can give it to a voter who does not possess an ID card. So I don't understand what is the issue. The law allows a voter to vote with an oath of identity. It's like if you go to the bank and you can either withdraw money with the use of your ID card, or you can withdraw money if you have a driver's permit, if the bank accepts that. The bank, after giving you the money, can't turn around after and says that the withdrawal is unlawful because you used a driver's permit, because the bank permitted you under the rules and the banking regulations for you to use that as a form of identification. It's the same principle. The oath of identification or the oath of identity is similarly provided for as an alternative to the ID card for the purpose of identification to vote. So I don't understand what is that objection. Then you have in Region 1, for example, they objected to a gentleman that, if you look at it in the social media, they objected that the man has migrated, and that man apparently was campaigning for them and dancing on their platform. I just visited a station in there where 79 objections are being made. 79 serial numbers have been identified that these persons have migrated. And when you look on the number of ticks, only 4 of those names actually voted. But 79 objections are being made. You have a case in Ithaca where there is one elector registered to vote, and that elector did not vote on election day, yet the APNU AFC objected. They had about 4 objections, and there were not even so many people listed there to vote. At Belladrum and West Coast Berbice, you had the PPP got some 4 votes in one ballot box, and the APNU had 25 objections in relation to that same ballot box. So they are eventually now objecting to their own voters. So that is the kind of inconsistent, illogical exercise that is ongoing and that continues to consume valuable time that can be spent on the actual counting of ballots. We hope that these things are going to eventually die down and eventually disappear as the process proceeds, but you know, AP and UAFC is bent on this weird and strange campaign that they are carrying out. And again, I say that we hope that we can get more workstations. We think that 2 is inadequate, although the 2 have dramatically increased the work, the speed of the work. As I said, 77 boxes, by far the highest number of boxes completed in a day. And we are also calling for adjustments of the work hours. So those are my brief remarks. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Deliberate on this issue. Does the party have a position on the unmarked ballots and the partially marked ballots that we've heard of so far?
Well, it's not a matter of the party having a position. The law speaks to that matter very clearly and precisely. And the law says that if the ballot is partially marked, then it is valid. If there is no mark, then it is invalid. I heard the argument being advanced here that these unmarked ballots belong to the disciplinary forces. But I don't know how that person could have made such a deduction because, as you know, discipline forces voted on a separate day and the votes are eventually taken to the area where that person was registered to vote and mixed in the ballot box of that particular polling station or polling division with all the other boxes, with all the other ballots, sorry, and then counted at the end of the day. And there is absolutely no way that one can, at the counting stage or at any stage thereafter, determine that that particular unmarked ballot is a ballot cast by a member of the discipline forces. There is no way that you can say that. You can determine that.
Advice that they stick to the law in this scenario.
Well, an election is a legal process. And I can't advocate GECOM to depart from the law. GECOM cannot depart from the law. So GECOM is bound by the law. So in terms of determining what is a valid or invalid vote, GECOM will have to turn to the legal principles.
Ms. Nanal, the Commission had come up with some measures in response to the basket of issues I think it was
Yes.
meant to address the same things that you were complaining about earlier, the objections that were swollen in the process. Are we to understand that the response from the Commission basically is not working?
No, I'm not assuming that at all, and I'm not asking you to assume that. In fact, yes, based upon the report we have had, some of the issues have been some of the issues in that basket, and the resolution have been applied with great rigidity and fluidity, and has brought appreciative speed in resolving these issues when they reoccur. But as I keep saying to you, that basket is not exhaustive and it needs to be updated on a regular basis. For example, a decision in that basket appears to be that the station must close at 5:30 or something like that. Clearly, we are asking for that to be reviewed. The basket of issues were never intended to be crafted in stone, and well, we must adjust that basket of issues as the process unfolds to bring a greater expediency to the process.
Allow me to be hypothetical.
Yes,
We were
yes.
talking about the observations earlier. If there is one proven case, and I'm just going to use the numeral one, that somebody who was not here voted, what would you say to the process then?
Again, I have to go back to the law to examine. You said hypothetically. Hypothetically, we find that one person who was not in Guyana voted. The law says that you now have to examine what impact that infraction, because that's an infraction of the law, what impact that infraction will have on the ultimate result of the election. If that singular infraction cannot materially alter the outcome of the election, then the law says that the election results must be declared in the form announced.
And for clarity, your party had written about a staff of GECOM who has been advanced to the position of a supervisor. Has GECOM responded to that letter?
We received a formal response to say that the letter was received and the contents noted. Yes, so we have received a response.
Just that it was received.
That's
not
correct.
addressing
Yes.
your concerns.
No, but we are scheduled to have a meeting soon with GECOM, and a host of issues will be raised.
As in tomorrow, or you don't know?
Maybe tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Nandlal of the People's Progressive Party, who spoke of some of the issues that the party would have had to deal with over the past few days. He pointed to one instance where in one workstation today, he did not specify that workstation that I can remember. However, he said that There were over 70 anomalies, alleged anomalies raised by the APNU AFC that persons who would have migrated or deceased voted. He also said that the commission, with the 12 workstations that they have today, has completed over 70 boxes in total. As you know, the commission added 2 other workstations today, so now instead of 10 workstations they have 12 stations, counting the ballots from the regions 3 to 7. The commission added the stations from today, and they have 2 workstations to region 5, 3 to region 6, 3 to region 4, 3 to region 3, and 1 allocated to region 7. There are 82 boxes to be counted for region 7, with 378 for region 6, 158 for region 5, and over 800 for region 4, 355 for region 2. We have not received the final total of the total number of boxes counted so far for today. However, the tabulation process has since started, and the commission is currently tabulating the ballot boxes that have been counted so far for general and regional elections. We'll continue to bring you updates from outside of the Artichon Conference Center. I am Bibika Toon.